Hello everyone, welcome to the third module of data analysis with Python full course. This is Sumit Shukla, senior data scientist and an educator. So now in this particular video, we'll be trying to understand how we can scrape the data from a particular website. Now, sometimes what happens that you might have to perform data analysis based on the data that is present over a website. How you can extract that data into your pandas data frame, and then how you can perform data analysis on top of it. This is all what we are going to learn in this particular video, and I'll be covering all the basics that you need to know about how to perform end-to-end web scraping. So let's start. Now, first of all, let's understand when we try to browse any website, what are the series of operations happens between your web browser and the server of the website. So let's try to decode the complete process or the life cycle. So let's say this particular page, let's say this is your Chrome browser, and you can take any browser of your choice. Since I use Chrome a lot, so I'm using Chrome browser. And let's say this is your address bar. So here in the address bar, we have provided the address of, let's say I want to browse wikipedia.com. So https://www.wikipedia.com. Let's say this is the address of the website that I want to browse. Now, as soon as you press enter, what will happen? Your browser will connect to the server of this website. So let's say this is the server of this particular website, wikipedia.com. But when your browser will be connecting, or when your browser will be reaching out to the server of this website, it has to carry some authentication information, right? It has to carry some information regarding your laptop, maybe the system, regarding your browser, and regarding your location. Because once the server will verify your detail, once the server is 100% confident that you are a legible user, you are not a robot, or maybe you are not trying to hack the system, then only it will allow you to browse the website. It will allow you to share the content of the website. So Chrome browser, when it is requesting the server, it will carry some authentication information. So here the browser is performing the request operation with some authentication information like your IP address, your location detail, your let's say browser detail. Now, once the server verifies all your details, so once the verification has been done, once the server is confident that you are a valid user, you are not trying to do anything suspicious, the server will return the HTML code of this particular website. The HTML code. Now, this particular browser, your browser on which you are trying to browse this website, this browser will render this HTML code in a form of a web page. So your browser will render the HTML code to a web page. And once you have the web page with you, once you have the HTML code with you, you can browse the website, and every time you make a click, the same process is happening. So let's say I clicked on a specific image. Again, a request will be made to the server. Server will process your request. It will return the HTML code, or maybe if you are looking for an image, it will return the image code, and that will be rendered by your web page to basically display you the image or display you the web page. Now when Python, so now we are not going to use a particular browser to make a request with the server. We are going to use Python to make the request. So we'll be having Python to make the request to the server, and then the server will return the HTML code using which, so using this HTML code, we will extract necessary information to get the data. So from this HTML code, we will get, or we will extract the data into the data frame. So from the HTML code, we will extract data into a data frame. This is what we are going to do. Now, in order to carry out this process, we need two libraries. In order to create a request, in order to send a request from Python to the server, we need a library known as request. So the library request will help Python to send a valid request to the server, and then server will return the HTML code. Now we need another library over here, which is known as Beautiful Soup. Now here this library will help you to perform search of the relevant content from the HTML code. So Beautiful Soup will help you to perform search regarding relevant content from the HTML code. So here we are going to utilize two core libraries, requests and Beautiful Soup. Now, before we can jump to the Python interface to actually carry out this operation, we need to briefly understand about how HTML code looks like. You have to understand the structure. So let's understand the structure of the basic HTML code. Now the HTML code, first of all, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. A particular HTML code starts with a tag, which is known as the HTML tag, and it ends with /HTML. So this is the starting and this is the ending, and within this we will write down the complete HTML code. Now the very first tag which you will find out within HTML is known as the head. Now head consists of the title of the web page. So whenever you try to browse any web page, let me just show you a quick example. So this is my browser. Let's say I want to browse wikipedia.com. So I'll go to Wikipedia. Now this is the title of the web page, wikipedia.org. This is the title of the web page. Now this is something which we are going to feed in the head tag. So head, here we have added the title, let's say, so wikipedia.org and then /head. Then we have the next tag known as the body. Now within that, we have to write down all the code that we want to appear as the body of the web page. So body tag starts with this tag body and /body will end this tag. Within this, I will have multiple tags. For example, h1 tag is for heading 1. Then we have to end this also. So let's add a heading. Let's add a heading. My first web page. Then /h1. Then we will have h2 heading, level 2 heading also. So welcome. Then /h2. Then we will have, let's say I need to write a paragraph. So p. Then we have written some paragraph /p. If I want to create a division, so what is a division? So let's say this is my web page. And within this, I want to divide this web page into 3 divisions. So first section or division, second division, and third division. Now this is something which we can do using div tag. So div and then /div. Then for table, we have a table tag. So /table. Similarly, for hyperlink, we have href tag, and you will find out a variety of tags which are for a specific content that you want to put in the web page. But as of now, we are not talking about how to write HTML code. We are trying to unlearn and understand how to perform web scraping. So we will not be going into the depth of HTML code, but the reason I started talking about HTML code is to give you a brief idea regarding how the general schema or the general code structure of the HTML code looks like. So we start with HTML, we end with /HTML. Within that, we have head tag, then we have body tag, and within body, we have all the content of the web page. This is the HTML code. Now we have understood all the basics or all the basic knowledge that we need to perform web scraping in Python. So let's now start writing some line of codes to actually perform web scraping. Now let's start with scraping a web page. First of all, let's decide which web page we want to scrap. So let's go to wikipedia.com and let's search for height and weight data. So let's see if I can find out a table in this web page. Now we do not have any table in this web page. Let's try out for body mass index. So here you can see we have one table over here, another over here, another over here, another over here, and then over here. Here we have 2 tables. Let's try to scrape. Let's try to scrape some meaningful data. What about this? Okay. Let's try to scrape this particular table where I am having the region, population, average weight, overweight population, and the source. Let's try to scrape this table. First of all, we need the library known as request. Now, as I have told you, that request library will help you to send a legit request, a valid request from the Python programming language to the server of the website. Let's define the URL which we are trying to scrape. I'll just copy it, put it over here. And now we have to create a request. So the code is response is equal to request.get, then URL, the URL that I'm trying to get, comma, headers is equal to user hyphen agent. Now, what is user agent? Please remember, in the headers attribute, we have defined a dictionary which is having the key as user agent, and the value would be the browser's user agent. Now, to get your user agent, you have to just Google my user agent, and here you can see this is my user agent. I'll copy this and I will paste it over here. Now, what specifically is user agent? So as we have learned that while we are trying to request, while we are trying to send a connection request to the server, we are also sending, or the browser is also carrying some authentication information, like what is the IP address, the location, the browser details, and so on. Now, the user agent is basically, you can say it's like a package or a coded information about all these details which are necessary for a server to know about your request, or about your location, your laptop, and your maybe browser detail. Everything is basically encoded in this user agent code. So that is what I have provided in this particular user agent. Let's try to run it. Now, if I just type response, I am getting response 200. What is the meaning of this? So if I just Google what is response 200, so 200 represents OK in the HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and this basically means that the request has been succeeded, which basically means the server has accepted our request and we have received back the HTML code. Now, where we can see the HTML code? We have to write response dot, now there is a parameter known as text, and here we have the complete HTML code. But this HTML code as of now is in string format. You can see it starts with a inverted comma, ends with inverted comma. It's a complete HTML code in string format. If you want to check out this HTML code, just right click and click on inspect, and here you can see the complete HTML code. The HTML code. Now, this is the HTML code which we have received over here as in string format. But the problem here is, if I have to search for the table, if I go back to this HTML, this web page, and use this inspect tool, and if I take my cursor to this table, you can see that the table is defined by the table tag with the class wiki table. You can see table, the tag name is table, class is wiki table, and within that I'm having all the rows and columns data, right? So my interest is to find the table tag from this complete HTML code. But right now, since my HTML code is in a string format, it will be really difficult for us to find out this specific tag from the complete HTML code. For this purpose, we have the beautiful soup library. So let's try to import it. So from BS4, import beautiful soup. So the function is capital B and capital S, beautiful soup. And now we are going to convert this HTML code into, we are going to convert this string into a HTML code which is searchable, on which we can perform easy search using the functions provided by this beautiful soup library. The name of the library is actually BS4, but it is so much popular in the market that everyone calls it as a beautiful soup library. So you guys can also call it as beautiful soup. Now let's try to parse this. Let's try to convert this string into HTML. So all we have to write is out is equal to beautiful soup response dot text, and you want to convert this into HTML dot parser. So basically I'm trying to convert this string, which is nothing but this response.text, into HTML parser, into HTML type of code, and this is done by the beautiful soup library. Now if I just print out, this is how it looks like. Now this is a proper looking code, a proper looking HTML code, right? But I'm not going to we are not going to manually check for everything from this HTML code. So we are going to use some inbuilt function that comes with this library. So let's try to perform the search. Now we are trying to search. So out.find, out is nothing but the HTML code that has been converted by the beautiful soup library. So out.find, we are interested in finding out the table tag, and the class of this table tag is wiki table. Now you can see that it will return you the HTML code of the first table, only the HTML code of the first table. You can see that the title is region, adult population, average weight, overweight percentage, and so on, which is basically this table, and this is the first table of my web page, right? First table. But what if I want to find out the HTML code for all the tables? Now this table is having this web page is having 3 tables. So this one is the first one, the second one, and this is the third one, which is empty right now. So in order to find all I have to do is use the find all function. Now we get a list, and this list will have comma separated HTML code for all the 3 tables. So it is quite huge. That is the reason it is quite difficult to understand, but let me try to help you to visualize it. So basically, when we use find all, we get output as a list. Now since I'm having 3 tables, the first element in this list will be the HTML code for table number 1, comma. The second element would be the HTML code for table number 2, comma. The third would be the HTML code for table number 3. This is what find all will return us. Now if you're interested in, so let's say this list is L. If I'm interested in this table, all I have to do is L of 1, and this will return me the HTML code for table number 2. If I say L of -1, this will return me the HTML code for table number 3, right? So this is what the output is returned when we use find all. Now here, let's quickly preserve this output in the list L. And from this list, I will extract the code for the first table. So L of 0. This is the HTML code of the first table. Now how we convert this particular HTML code into a data frame? For that, we will use the pandas library. So now this is the code of the first table. Since we have used find all, we have the HTML code for all the tables with the class wiki table in a list. And now I'm interested in the first table. So we have extracted the HTML code of the first table, and this is my HTML code of the first table. Now we are going to convert this HTML code into a pandas data frame. For this, we will use the pandas library pd.read_html. Now this particular function needs the input as a string, but right now the HTML code that we are having over here is a beautiful soup object. So if I have to convert it into a string, all I will do is to just wrap it in the string function, and this is my string now, right? So here I'll provide the input as str of L of 0. Now again, this particular output is within a list. So if I preserve it into a variable a, then a is a list. And if I index, so a is having only one element. So the list a is having only one element, which is a data frame. So if I just index it, L of 0, I'll get the pandas data frame. This is my pandas data frame, right? So let's preserve this into the variable df. And df.head is the data which we were trying to extract. Now we have seen the complete process of how to extract the relevant data from a particular website. But still, this particular data is not something which we will be able to analyze easily. So we will be required to do a quite of manipulations on this. let's try to manipulate this data. Let's try to clean this data. This is specifically known as data cleaning. First of all, we will check the data types of various variables. So df dot info. Now the particular column adult population million is an integer 64, which is okay. I will not say this is correct, but this is okay. Region is an object, which is again fine. But average weight should have 60.7 in one column and 113.8 in another column, so that I have both the quantities but in two different columns. Then overhead population divided by total population. I need this in let's say I need this in float format 28.9. I do not need this percentage. Due to this percentage, the column has been loaded as object. And I do not need this source column, so I will drop this source column. Let's do this. First of all, df dot drop columns is equal to source, and I will do this in place because I'm 100% sure that I do not need this column. Now my data frame is having four columns: region, adult population, average weight, overweight divided by total population. Now here we have extracted the table from the Wikipedia page, but this particular table or the data frame is still not perfect or in the clean format to perform data analysis, because number one, you can see that there is a percentage sign over here, due to which this column is not in the float format, in the decimal format. In pandas, we call this as a float format. So right now this column, which is overweight population divided by total population, is not in float format. Similarly, average weight column is having two numbers and the complete detail is in one column. Again, this column is not in float format, it is in object. So right now what we are going to do, we are going to clean this data frame in such a way that it becomes more useful, and for any person who is trying to perform data analysis on top of it, it becomes really easy for that person to perform the visualization, perform any kind of analysis. So let's try to do it. As of now, if I look at the info about this particular data, we have region and adult population millions. These two columns are in correct data type, while these two columns are needed to be corrected. Now let's try to extract the 60.7 in another column, which represents the average weight in kg, 113.8 in another column, which represents average weight in lbs. Let's do that. Now in order to do this, we will be required to use a particular library known as regular expressions. Now if you do not know about it, it is very simple. It is a pattern matching library. We'll try to understand it step by step. I will only take the first entry in a string known as A, so that I can show you all the operation. Now the very first thing that we will do is to split this on this particular opening round bracket. So A dot is split on the opening round bracket. We will get 60.7 kg in one particular, so this is the first element of my list and this is the second element. Now from this first element, so if I index it at index number 0, I'll get the first element. I want to extract 60.7. For this I will use the RE library, import RE, which is regular expression, and I'll say find all, which is re dot find all. I have to define my pattern. So I have to find all the digits. So slash d plus slash d means I want to find out all the digits, plus means one or more time. Then slash dot. I want to find a dot. So my pattern is digit followed by a dot, then a digit. So digit one or more time followed by a dot, and then again a digit one or more time. This is what I am interested in finding out from this particular string. So what output I'll get? I'll get 60.7. But this is in, again, is this particular thing is in a list, so I have to index it again. And now I have to convert it into float. So I will encapsulate this complete code into the function float. Now this is what we are interested in, and this is what we are going to do for all the rows. Now in order to do it all the rows, we'll be using the apply mechanism, and we'll be writing the lambda function. So we'll write the complete logic in lambda function. So let's do this. df average weight dot apply lambda x colon. Now x basically mean x is going to be this. So I'll copy this complete code, and instead of a, I'll just put x, and this should work fine. We have all the responses, right? I'll preserve this output in a variable which I'll call as df average weight in kg. And now let's preserve this output. So now if I look at df.head, we have average weight in kg, and here you can see we have average weight in kg, and this is in right now float format. Similarly, I'll try to extract 133.8, and I'll create a new column, average weight lbs. Now in this above code, all I have to make a change is when I'm splitting, instead of extracting the first element, I'll extract the second element, which is square bracket 1. This one, right? So all it is going to change is over here and over here. So let me just copy this, put it over here. I'll replace this 0 with 1 and this kg with lbs. And now df.head will have 5 columns. So we have extracted both the quantities in 2 different columns. Now I can drop this average weight column. So let's drop it. df.drop columns is equal to, I'm interested in dropping this column average weight, and let's do this in place. In place is equal to true. df.head. Now we are done with one task. We are now left with this task. Again, we have to extract only the numerical portion of this particular string. So first of all, let's do one thing. Let's rename this column. This column is having a very lengthy name. So df.rename columns is equal to. Now instead of copying the column name from here, we will copy it after calling df.columns, because there might be some extra spaces. So I'll copy it from here, put it over here, and I want to rename it as weight percentage, and I will do it in place. Now we can see that now the particular column headers looks clean. Even we can do the change with this also. We can replace this millions with capital M. So let's copy this code, and instead of adult populations millions, we can have the same column name but with capital M. Now how my DF looks like? Now my DF looks like way better than before, right? The last thing that we are left with is to get rid of this percentage sign. Now we will do the same thing what we have done previously for extracting the numerical component from the average weight column. Let me just quickly show you how we will do it. So DF over weight. I'll take the first value just to help you with the operation. It's a string. Now we will use the same operation, like the same mechanism that we have used using find all mechanism. So let me copy it, put it over here, and the string is A. So we have 28.9. This is a list, so we have to extract it. This is in a string, so I have to convert it into float. And this is the final code that we are going to use in the apply function. So let's do this. Over weight dot apply lambda x colon. Now instead of, so we will put this, but instead of A we will have X. We have all the entries in float now. We will preserve this output in the same column. And now if I look at df.head, now you can see that the data is very much clean, and now we can perform any kind of data analysis. So let's say I wanted to create a bar plot for region and average weight in kg. So SNS dot bar plot, and the x-axis we will keep the region name, and the y-axis we will keep this particular column, which is average weight in kg, and let's run it. So here we have the response. Now here you can see that we are not able to look at the x labels. We can rotate them, and we'll be using matplotlib.xtext rotation is equal to, let's say, 45 degree. And now you can see that all the labels are clearly visible, but I really don't know why we do not have the label for this one. Okay, we are only looking at the head. Let's look at the complete data. So we are here having 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 entries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so these two are getting overlapped. This should be over here, but it is coming on this side. Now the problem is, since we are using 45 degree rotation, the x-tick for this particular bar is shifting towards the next bar. The very simple solution for this is, let's make the x-ticks to 90 degree, which is like perpendicular. And now you can see that we are able to get all the x-ticks properly, and the plots look very nice, right? So in this particular example, we have seen how to perform end-to-end web scraping, and we have also seen how to clean the data to perform data analysis. I hope this module was informative and really useful for all of you. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our Scalers YouTube channel.